Hey guys, my name is JessiMew, and welcome back to Adam's Quest. In the last episode, a new breed of royalty was born right by the Piranha's Lake, almost as if they were influenced by those toothy little fish. But perhaps more importantly, we have a bit of a situation taking place on the other side of the island, right where the other piranhas have gathered actually. That's kind of ironic. Are they following our most dramatic members of the tribe? Maybe they're just hoping to get a little bit of lunch themselves, because if our creatures end up taking damage from the ape, they would be quite interested in feasting on them too. But the ape is nowhere to be found right now. It seems as though Truffle and Wolfsbane have lost track of him, so now they need to go back down the shore and see if they can figure out where he's hiding. I wonder if maybe he made his way back to the stinky fruits. Maybe he was a little bit too hungry to go chasing after our creatures. And in fact, I have a feeling that Moonwatcher might be eyeing them up too. Maybe she's squinting into the darkness right now. She could just barely make out those vague shapes of the stinky fruits in the distance. And she knows that her little baby brothers need to eat. They're probably getting very, very hungry. They only have these little berry bushes to work with after all, since nobody really knows how to crack open the acorns. So maybe she'd ask her father Citrus if she could go out to the stinky fruit trees to gather up some new food. Now, as far as Citrus knows, the ape is far behind them now. Truffle and Wolfsbane have done their job, and they've led that seeing ape far off into the distance, so he thinks that his family's safe. He'll do his best to lead his daughter over to the stinky fruits. She won't be able to get too far since she is feeling a little bit hot right now. The jungle is not a kind place when it comes to the toxic body, unfortunately. But she can at least settle down inside the ocean, and then he can dart his way straight back to Snapdragon's side, because he's not going to let any harm befall his sweet little baby. So, can she sniff out the big-eyed ape now? Is he close enough for her to hear? No, she's still in the dark so far. So I guess we'll have to bring Truffle a little bit closer too. Let's scoot Wolfsbane ahead of her, right next to the remains of the healing fruit, and see if he can smell the ape with his big nose. Oh, he is really hiding well. I can't imagine that he would have gone anywhere else though, because he was right around here when we saw him last. So jump on ahead on the porch, Truffle, and see if that's going to reveal the ape to us. Yes, it looks like our suspicions may have been correct. He was going back to the stinky fruits to gather up some lunch of his own. So I guess Moonflower has the same idea. That means that she could run straight into our ape friend as well. But since she has the toxic body, since she looks so much like the big-eyed ape, I think she's going to be okay. It's just a matter of grabbing his attention with our brave adventurers again. So if we set them up 5 tiles away, they should be just far enough away to avoid his reach. I think Wolfsbane is actually on the right track. It looks like that is the right distance that we need. So let's put Truffle right next to him, and then he might as well pick up the grass right by the healing fruit, so we can get to that easily in case we make any mistakes. Now, we better bring poor little Honeydew out of the water. He's the one who's been infected by the leech, and we don't want him anywhere near the ocean waves when he starts to bleed. That would make it so the piranha fish would be particularly interested in him, and we've already seen firsthand the damage that they can do when one of our creatures is bleeding in the water. So Wildflower, I'm sure, is very concerned. We'll have her settle down next to him for now. And I wonder if all of that commotion might alert our resident healer. Illusion has been waiting and waiting for somebody to pick up a leech so she can study the long-term effects of those wounds. She was hoping that Leaf might be the one, but so far he hasn't had any luck. In fact, it's very bare over here. So perhaps her healer's senses are tingling. She can hear those cries in the distance as Honeydew tries desperately to tear the leech off of himself. And she's going to rush down the shore, completely abandoning poor Leaf in the process. He is probably terribly, terribly confused. What about the fish? Didn't you want me to come down here to catch you some fish? But since it is so bare down here, maybe he thinks that she just found something in the distance. And I mean, technically he's not wrong. We do have little fish swarms around here for him to catch. So we'll have him follow in her shadow as fast as he possibly can, while he's still picking up the fish along the way. Now, poor little Harp, she's been so concerned with picking the berries, before the bunnies can especially. She's not quite strong enough to take down the bunnies herself, so she knows she needs to pick these fast. But now she's gotten herself separated from her brother, and I'm not sure if she's going to be able to pick up his scent again. Maybe she'll find something different. Maybe she'll hear the commotion up by the lake, the stirring of little babies in the nest, and even better, the smell of those delicious rare fruits from the carnivorous plants. She knows she's technically not allowed to gather from these anymore because we don't want it growing back. So maybe she'd be enticed to join our new royal family if she smells those fruits that she can pick. Let's have Haunt and Rihanna breed again too. It looks like Haunt doesn't have any more fish to gather up, but if we scoot Rihanna over to this tile, she should be able to build another nest, and fingers crossed this baby can help their father with his fishing job. We just need to see another baby with those 2 normal claws. That way their fishing skill will definitely be high enough. I guess for now, we could have him settle down in the waves to reveal a couple more piranhas sitting in the distance. It looks like you still have more food to gather for your family yet. Now I think we're just down to Rila and her new little baby, who she quite interestingly named Takir after the pattern painter. Though as it would turn out, he is actually completely bare of stripes. I feel like she probably gave him that name as a way to attempt to impress the pattern painter himself. Even though she's following her heart now, as she starts her family with Ronukir, part of her can't help but hope that they'll give her some sort of sign that she's made the right choice. And what better way than by having a baby with Adam's stripes? But while Ronukir might not know anything about Adam and his stories, I think he might have some other legends to tell our tribe instead. He does have the bird beak, so maybe he knows about some of our newest deities, especially Solaris, the messenger of a whale island. Now that would be quite the story. Imagine if Adam's family knew about this great moving island, this living island that can literally sail you to any land that you choose. It must sound like a dream to someone like Rila, but more importantly, Solaris was always quite interested in unique objects, like these curly weeds for instance, that you can find in the jungles. And if you impress him enough with your offering, he might just be willing to take a message to one of the gods. So maybe it's time that you guys try to gather up the weeds. We'll scoot you on over here to pick up this patch, and then we might want to bring Ronukir out of harm's way too. This carnivorous plant is just about to grow back again, and we don't really want to run the risk of him getting gobbled up again. So I guess we can scoot him down here. He can pick up some extra berries, and they can lay out the weeds and the berries together. We'll breed them again too, so she can set up her nest on the next turn, and cross our fingers for a nice stripy baby. But aside from that, I think we're all out of turns. So let's cross our fingers that the big-eyed ape is going to go after Truffle again. Yes! Oh, thank goodness. He has picked up their scent once more. Or at least he's noticed them on top of those ports, since they don't work the same as the typical jungle tiles. Truffle is completely revealed on these. So back to your job, you two. You are so close now. Just a couple more little streams for you to cross, and then the ape will be far enough away that our creatures can finally leave on these ports. So we want them to be 5 tiles away again, and I believe that means that they... Oh no! Oh no, did he steal Takir? Oh my gosh, the carnivorous plant. I should have checked before we moved our creatures. Oh, you have to get Takir back. Thank goodness Rila is still right here, so she can crack it open with her big Barrina claws. Oh, you poor little thing. Barely even a day old and you already have to deal with the dangers of the jungle. Yeah, this is why we typically don't set up our nests right next to carnivorous plants. But your mother is a very, very apt warrior. You are lucky that she's trained so well with these carnivorous plants in the past. Oh my goodness, Ronuk here. Go ahead and pick up some more berries so you can feed them to your family, because they are definitely going to need something to regain their energy. And now you guys can get back to work, leading this ape away once more. So I believe we want to set you guys up right here. We might as well have you guys pick up whatever you can in the area, so you're not just completely wasting your turns away in the tide pools. Though that being said, I do feel like these two need a bit of a break anyway. They deserve at least a little bit of time to unwind while they can. And it looks like Moonflower may have actually found a tiny little seashell. Well, there's actually plenty of things for you to dig up out here. If only you had the great platypus beak that would allow you to pick up those worms. I wonder if maybe she would like to try to bring this back to the babies first. Oh no, look, little one. That's too bad. I guess you'll have to settle for your stinky fruits after all then. I hope maybe one of your brothers would be willing to help you out, because you will need somebody to lick off all of those stinky juices. So maybe Snapdragon could be the one? I'm sure he'd love the adventure, but I'm also a little bit leery about the ape being a little too close. With his melanism trait, he's not going to be able to camouflage himself very well. So I don't want him snagging the ape's attention instead. We're already playing with fire here since Moonflower looks so much like him. So until you have your 3rd gem, Citrus would really prefer you to just stay with the family. Maybe pick up these berries for us. That way we'll have something to offer up to poor little Honey too. Oh my goodness! Oh, he is having so much trouble right now. You are literally having the worst day ever. But thank goodness, we have a very well-trained healer on the way. So maybe Honeydew is trying to escape the grasp of his mother. He probably wants to dive back in the water so he can cool off. But she's trying desperately to pin him down, because the last thing she wants is to see him get torn apart by the piranha. And that's Illusion's chance to swoop in. Maybe if we move Wildflower right here, she'll be able to get all the way to his side. It looks like we'll have to have Wildflower lick his wounds for now, but we're not going to take the leech off, because Illusion still wants to study it. So she can circle around to the other side for now, and try to gauge his wounds. Try to figure out exactly what she needs to do to make him the most comfortable, because they have a very, very long experiment ahead of them. So maybe if we're lucky, Citrus could provide them with some snacks, because goodness knows they're going to need some food too. If he could only find some roots, just like his mother was so well known for. Ah, there we go. Then he can dig this up, and hopefully it'll be enough to soothe poor Honeydew. Now, let's see if maybe you guys have had some more luck with the fish. Oh, thank goodness. It looks like plenty of little piranha fish have spawned in the meantime. So you guys are going to be feasting. Just in time for your newest little baby, who appears to have the water body too? Oh my goodness. The water body is popping up absolutely everywhere now. I guess it's a little bit more dominant than the toxic bodies, so that's why. It's just some very peculiar luck. but the stripes on the water body look absolutely amazing. You are going to be an interesting little fisherman for the tribe. So let's name this little baby Slip. A nice, elusive name to go along with his father's theme, but also one that I can definitely see fitting a water-bodied creature. He'll be slipping in and out of these waves before long. Now poor Harp, her berry bush is being taken over by the bunnies. So let's have her scoot her way up the stream, so she might be able to indulge in the carnivorous fruits on the next turn. And that just leaves poor little Leaf, who's still lost and alone in the waves, searching for Illusion's trail. He sees some more of those fish in the water. Oh, and you've called them straight up to you again. Excellent. He's actually pretty good at that. I wonder if it's because of his toxic appearance. The fish are coming up to get a better look. It's not as though that color would really blend in with the scenery, so I'd be surprised if they didn't notice him at all. But we should be ready to skip the day again. And thankfully things should be much more peaceful over by Riola's kingdom. Let's just make sure that you guys aren't going to lose the ape this time. Thank goodness. It looks like he's still following very close. But let's have a wolfsbane gather up that leech, because we don't need you attracting any unwanted visitors either. Oh, it looks like this baby has the stripes. Oh my goodness, and a very vibrant toxic body? Oh my gosh. Well, I guess the pattern painter was quite impressed after all. And you know, that must have been because of that offering that you gave to Solaris. He was willing to send the message across to Takir to give you this wonderful stripy baby. So this should at least put Riola's mind at ease. She knows that it was a good choice for her to follow her heart. It's leading their tribe down a different path for sure, but in the end it'll still bring them to their main goal, which of course is to get to Adam's home island. So I believe Ronukir only has a couple more days left on his lifespan, and the one thing I want to see on his babies before he leaves us is that bird beak that he's hiding. So hopefully this time we'll have a little bit more luck, as we lead the babies away from the carnivorous plant this time. We're not going to let them settle down next to it again. Takir can come down here to pick up the berries with his nimble fingers. We'll have to send him straight across the tide pools, so we can finally crack open those acorns that we've been missing. But go ahead and breed again with Riola for us. That way she can settle down another nest, maybe over here this time, so she's just a little bit closer to those ports. Now, I think the ape is far enough away that we shouldn't have to worry about him noticing our creatures by these stinky fruits. So let's have Snapdragon make his way to Moonflower's side, and then she can set up on the shores and pick up those fruits for her family. You know, her obsession with them really makes me think that she has a little bit more of a connection to the apes than she's letting on. They share the same looks, they share their same favorite foods. Maybe she's lucky that she doesn't know Truffler or Wolfsbane, because I feel like they would be very, very suspicious of her. Now let's see, 5 tiles away should put us right about here. So let's have Truffle jump back, and then Wolfsbane can follow. Now we're getting into some really uncharted territory. So let's sniff around to make sure. Oh, there we go. Make sure that there's no carnivorous plants. I think we saw this healing fruit last time, right? Because we have so many of these healing fruits on every last portion of the island that our adventurers really don't have to worry if they get hit by the ape, because they can always heal themselves again. Now, how is your experiment doing, Illusion? Is Honeydew feeling any better? Oh my goodness, the poor thing. He is feeling absolutely miserable. But he is putting his life in your hands, Illusion. Little does he know, you are not too interested in actually healing him. Just licking those wounds and seeing how they change over time. I think she'll probably scoot him even further away from the ocean. She knows that he is just raring to go diving back into the waves because he's so hot up here on the shores. So she'll try her best to urge him toward the healing fruits, maybe convincing him that it's just a precaution in case this leech situation takes a turn for the worst. But really, she just doesn't want to risk losing him in the water because there's no way that she'd be able to follow. Now, since this is Wildflower's last day, perhaps we could have her have just one last baby. We might as well give it a shot. Maybe this baby will have the home island gene too, so we can be really sure that we won't end up losing it in the future. And I see you hopping around there, little bunny. You're lucky that our tribe is a little bit too preoccupied to go after you. We'll have them just pick up the grass for now. As a leaf, as ever, follows in that long trail that Illusion left behind her. Now he can finally see her on the shores. And now you, Harp, can finally make your way up to this carnivorous plant and go ahead and gobble up some of those delicious fruits for us. You're going to surprise our greatest warriors, who never even considered trying to eat the fruits before, because their clumsy claws are not very good for picking up those delicate objects. But since a dagger doesn't really have too much luck with the piranhas, maybe we'll have him come on over here, so he can get a better look at what you're doing. I'm sure that bright golden fur of yours would be quite a shock to our creatures anyway. They're all so dark and mysterious, and you are just this shining beacon, as bright as the sun itself. Their mother might try to convince them that they don't have time to waste on these fruits. They have to learn how to catch the fish properly after all. Slip could actually slip his way straight into the water. He doesn't have to worry even though he's a baby, since he does have that water body to keep him safe. Maybe Rihanna even pushed him in. Gotta get his feet wet somehow, right? And it's better than losing him to this strange new creature. Maybe she would even try to cut down some of the berry bushes. I mean, it's not as though her family can gather from these, and then we would get the extra food to put straight into our stores. We know that they're going to grow back too, so she can just keep cutting them down whenever she comes across them. Definitely a spot of spite masked as helpfulness. I believe that's all for this turn though. So let's go see if Rila's going to have any more luck with the bird beak for her third baby. Nope, it looks like we only have the derp snout again. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit tricky to pass the bird beak over the derp snout, but I figured since we have it in the tribe, we might as well give it a shot. So we only have one more chance, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to leave behind a wonderful legacy. I love how our pattern painter is showing them more love now too. It's pretty clear that Solaris brought their message, because now we have another spotty little baby who should be able to blend in quite well with the jungle tiles. So I think she'll be a nice, sneaky little baby for us to take to the next island too. So one more try, Rila. Let's bring you over here to breed with your mate again, so you can settle down yet another nest. This time, safely away from that carnivorous plant. We probably should have at least picked up the grass there, so we don't lose it. I guess you could hop your way over here, pick up the grass for us, and then scoot right back out of the way. Yeah, we want to make sure that we can keep an eye on the carnivorous plant at all times. Now I wonder if this time, maybe Takir could start winding his way around the tide pools. He could come over here to crack open some acorns, just as something a little bit different to offer up to Solaris. They can give him the acorn caps, maybe? Do you think he would appreciate that? As something particularly unique to collect, and something that our tribe is not quite familiar with, so I'm sure it would be a worthy sacrifice to them. The thing is, since we don't have a deity that's known for their bird beaks, I'm not really sure who they would be trying to impress. So I'm hoping that just by getting on Solaris' good side, he'll be willing to offer up a few more of those bird genetics. Oh my goodness! Do we have an albino baby this time? Oh, a true beacon! The complete opposite of her brother Snapdragon? Oh my gosh! That is so cool. Oh, I wonder what that means. Typically, the beacons are the ones that lead our tribe over to the next islands. They carve the pathways that will lead the tribe to their next adventure. So this is a good sign for the migration. I think in honor of her fallen mother too. We'll go ahead and name this little baby Sunrose. A nice flowery name to go along with their mother's theme. And with Citrus's root from before, we've even dug out a nice little grave for her to rest in. So things are definitely changing, but hopefully it's all for the better. And in the next episode, maybe it'll be time for some of our more distant families to start making their way toward the ports too. I am quite interested to see what's going to happen when Rihanna and all of her babies cross paths with her sisters. I think there's going to be quite the confrontation, to say the least. Rihanna's not going to be too happy to see how she is squandering her potential, and the potential of the bluebird feathers too. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!